What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Unkaged Podcast. Now, before we start this episode, we do want to say that this is for educational purposes only. But today, we're going to be talking about a little bit of a touchy subject.
Yeah, we are not physicians. We are not doctors. We are not therapists. We have no formal education in the topic that we will be discussing today.
This is not financial advice.
Yes.
No, but
We'll be talking about EDs today.
Exactly. So this is a very hot topic in the bodybuilding space, fitness space, coaching space. We've personally had clients that have gone through different things with those subjects, and also me personally, and
Me personally, yeah,
as well. So, but yeah, just to kind of open up the topic, I guess we could kind of talk about our experiences. So. You can go first.
Oh, damn. So I think to an extent, having an ED is so normalized today, that sometimes you don't even recognize. It's like some people don't recognize that they have one, and I feel like that was the case for me. I didn't recognize that I had an ED until after the fact, until sort of I was like out of that headspace. So, I think and I honestly don't even know what I would call it. I just know that I had a problem with food. So I don't know what necessarily particular label I would put on it, but so my biggest struggle was when I did my first prep.
Mm-hmm.
Before I started that, as I began that prep, I was eating a ridiculous amount. I was eating, I think 3,800, almost 4,000 calories a day. And I was 140 pounds, and I was lean. I was lean eating that much food. But I was also doing a ridiculous amount of cardio every day. I was doing probably 2 hours of combined structured cardio throughout my entire day. And that was normal for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I was only doing that cardio as a way to allow myself to have more food. So it was activity in order to be able to have food, which was really, really bad for my mental health, because there were days where if I didn't have the ability to do that much cardio, because that's 2 hours of cardio daily, that's a lot of time that you're pulling out of your day.
Mm-hmm.
It would sort of, I wouldn't feel right. I wouldn't feel good. I would feel anxious. I'd feel sad or depressed, and I would feel like I have sort of failed my physique. It would give me a level of body dysmorphia for that day, or even maybe for the next couple of days that, I just sort of couldn't pull myself out of. So I had to do it. It was I had to just do that cardio in order so that I could have more food. And as I went through that prep and we started cutting calories, it was sort of the same deal, except that now, obviously, I have a higher demand for recovery because I am not only doing all this cardio, but I'm also training harder, right? I'm going through prep, I'm training harder, and I'm dieting hard to try to get as shredded as possible. And the demand that places on your body is only so much greater. So I made it through the prep, was fine. I think I came in pretty conditioned. I mean, I would still argue to say that I was probably the most conditioned athlete at that show. And then after the fact, so after the show, I sort of fell right back into it, but in a worse way. I was doing so much cardio on prep, a ridiculous amount of cardio on prep. I was eating, I think at the beginning of prep, I was still eating close to 3,000 calories. And I think the lowest we got on prep was
We did some
Man,
days on keto, so there were some days where we were under 2,000 for sure.
1,600, 1,800.
Yeah.
But for a guy my size at that body weight, you would honestly expect me to have less.
Yeah.
I would think that we would be, anywhere between 1,300 to 1,400 calories. But because of all the activity that I was doing, those calorie demands were a little bit higher. Either way, after prep, after I'd gone through the show, I had a really, really bad rebound. I was not doing I had just pushed sort of cardio away, just because I was doing so much of it. And I'm like, whatever. I don't need to do cardio to kind of keep myself lean. And I just fucking ate, dude. I just ate. I ate without any restriction. I had an insatiable hunger that I had never felt ever before. Um, and still to this day, I've never have reached that level. Even with this past show that I just did, I've never reached a level of such insatiable hunger. Um, and I was just eating, dude. I was eating. I remember, uh, that first day that uh, we, like after the show, we went to go get pizza. If you
Mhm.
remember that, we went to go
Yeah.
get pizza, and then after that, I want to go get ice cream, and then after that, I want to go to McDonald's, and I got like a McDonald's McChicken, a burger, and like I don't know, something else, maybe some fries. And then I went home and I had a PB&J. And dude, that night I could not sleep. I was so full, I couldn't sleep. It was
Yeah.
crazy. But I dealt with that for several weeks following that. Like I would have days where I was just stuffing my face, eating whatever I wanted, just really binging. Um, and then I had days, so I was literally, and I was tracking it. At the beginning, I was tracking it. I have some logs on my fitness pal where I had like, I swear, dude, like 7,000 calories. But then I would have like the following day, I would eat maybe like 1,600. So I'd sort of have this like yo-yo of like eating a whole ton, eating everything that was in sight, and then feeling so bad about myself. I ate nothing, did prolonged fast periods, and then did it again. And it was just this up and down cycle of eating a lot, not eating enough, eating a lot, not eating enough. Of course, my training suffered, my sleep suffered, my recovery suffered. My whole life sort of suffered there for a couple of months. Um, but that first month after that binge, um, I gained, I think, like 20 to 25 pounds. It was crazy. So I went from stage weight at, I think I was on stage like 130, like low 130s. I think like 133, 134, something like that. I stepped on stage. And a month later was like over 155 pounds, like damn near 160 pounds. Um, and so that was pretty crazy and pretty eye-opening for me, just to see like how quickly I rebounded.
Did you ever get
Uh,
like edemas?
Thankfully, no, I didn't.
Oh,
I
okay.
didn't know. Um, Not at least that I noticed. I was still relatively active, which I'm sure helped,
Yeah.
walking around, but I wasn't doing, the hour of stairs anymore. I was really just going on walks.
Yeah.
That was the cardio that I was doing. I was just doing walking, like steps, walking. Um, but outside of that, no, I wasn't doing any structured cardio, which I think really helped with that in particular. But no, I don't remember my ankle swollen or anything.
Okay. Do you remember like before you ever even started dieting or like did bodybuilding, how was your food situation like when you were just a high school kid? Like or even like growing up? Like how was that? How did you look at food?
Pretty normal. I definitely like when I got into bodybuilding, it definitely changed my perspective on food. Like I just had better food knowledge, right? Better food education. I just understood what like protein was, how much I needed, what a carbohydrate was, how it
Yeah.
was helping me and how much I needed, and same thing with fats, right? Like what do fats do? Um, but the way that I looked at it before then, like before bodybuilding, was just that like I mean I was a runner, so food was still fuel for me. I'm like, okay, I look at food as a tool to help me with my athletic goals,
Hmm.
and so food was just a vehicle to help me with my athletic goals. And not to say that I didn't enjoy the food that I was having or didn't make foods that I liked, but that's what it was, right? I mean, as an athlete, like your food should, help you with with whatever your sport is. And so that was food for me. I would pack my lunches for to take to school every day.
Mm.
I would rarely eat the cafeteria food, especially like my junior senior year. I became a lot more picky with that. I'm like, oh, I had a better understanding of like, oh, the foods here aren't necessarily going to be the best for me for my sport. Like, let me bring my own food. I know I'm not having enough protein. I know, I need like carbohydrate timing is important. So those were all things that became apparent to me like during high school. So I still had sort of this like athlete sort of bodybuilding mentality towards food, just not to the same extent as when I actually like involved myself deep into bodybuilding.
So you felt like you never really like structured like the habits that you did post show, or even like before you even decided to do a show, when you were kind of like almost like doing extra activity just to eat more. Is that something that like you just kind of learned to do by yourself along the way, or is it something that you were like, huh, maybe like did you look at that, did you learn that somewhere, or like where did
Yeah,
you see
yeah.
that?
So like when I first got into bodybuilding, like some of the bigger or probably the biggest influence on me, um or one of the biggest influences on me was Greg Doucette. He was really coming up at that time.
Oh,
So
okay,
this
yeah.
was like 2019,
Greg
2020.
Doucette,
Greg Doucette was
cardio
like,
master.
yeah, I mean, he was the guy that was like, calories in, calories out. You know, like he was the guy screaming that from the top of a fucking mountain. And so to me, I took that and I ran with it. I'm like, okay, calories in, calories out. So how can I have more calories? I'm a foodie. I love food. Um, it's like, how can I have more food? Oh, I just need to expend more calories in order for me to
Eat more.
be able to intake more. Cool. Let me expend more fucking calories. so so that was sort of my uh sort of my perspective on that. I'm like, like my recovery demands are fine. Like I feel fine. I'm young. Like,
Mm.
I can do 2 hours of cardio and do fine. And I was, truth be told, I was able to do it for a really, really long time. And there's like athletes out there that do that, that like literally are, are long distance runners, marathoners, endurance athletes that do that, but they do it for their sport, like, So
Yeah.
me, I literally didn't do it because I was trying to get better at running or get better at biking. It was because I just wanted to have more food.
Yeah.
So, and then like in conjunction, watching a lot of these YouTubers too that did like all this. I don't know if you ever remember during that time too, like food challenge YouTube videos were like massive.
Yeah.
There
Eric the
was
Electric. Yeah.
Yeah, Eric the Electric. He was also a really big influence. Watching him, like have all this freaking food, but the dude was still like, he was fit. He was a fit guy. He wasn't like severely overweight or anything. Now, what he was doing wasn't healthy. Um, but I saw that and I'm like, dude, why can't I do that to a lesser extreme?
Yeah.
I'm like, I mean, I can do it too. So that was,
Okay.
yeah.
So would you say like social media and like I guess technically these influencers, do you think that played a role in you developing these habits and justifying it to yourself, like thinking it's okay?
I think
Like,
so, definitely. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, now I'm like, not to put fault or blame on any of these YouTubers, any of these creators, because ultimately I have accountability for what I do. But absolutely, I mean, I saw that and I'm like, well, if they can do it, why the hell can't I?
Mm.
Like why is it why can't I? Like I'm perfectly capable of doing it. And yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah. You know what? I think that's a crazy, I mean, so just to kind of like look at it, right? Because I feel like those very few channels, right? Like the type of person that leads those channels, like Eric the Electric or Greg Doucette, or there's a ton of food guys nowadays. Like, I think it's such a small demographic of people. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's like the 1% of food channels. And if you actually look at like most competitive eaters, all of them are pretty big people. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Like for majority of the part.
Yeah.
There's very few guys that are like just skinny or look fit, right? Like
Yeah.
it almost paints like a,
Matt Stoney.
yeah, like Matt Stoney, right? It paints like a like this picture of like, oh, this is normal. Like you can be normal and you can eat this insane amount of food and
Yeah.
you can still be good
Yeah.
technically, right?
Yeah.
But it's such a small demographic, but since they're such big channels, you think they're the norm. But in reality, they're not the
Yeah.
norm. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like looking at like the freaking 1% of bodybuilders and you're like,
Yeah.
holy shit, I can look like this guy, but it's like you're never gonna look like this guy. Like
Yeah.
this guy's like
Yeah.
insane, you know? So um I think that that's huge. And I think social media to a degree is to blame because it's so accessible. Like everyone has the power to kind of just go on any channel, look at and be influenced from an early age. I mean, dude, when you're like 15 or 16, like what knowledge do you have? Like you have none. Like you
Yeah.
literally just think that this is normal, and there's somebody on the internet so confident telling you that
Yeah.
this is okay
Oh,
that
Greg
you're
just
like,
said he's an
yeah,
IFBB pro.
exactly. And you're just like,
I
all
can
right, I
trust
can do
him.
this. Exactly. Dude, I don't know. I personally think that social media is to blame partially.
Yeah.
Not just for, EDs, but like for a lot of different misconceptions, you know what I mean?
Oh,
So
definitely.
like
Yeah.
I think that is huge though, because it starts there, It's not like you just figured it out for yourself. You
Yeah.
learned it from
Yeah.
somewhere, and doing a whole prep, after dieting, all that stuff kind of just made that problem even bigger after, you know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
yeah.
So, damn, yeah, that's huge. I think that the like a huge takeaway from this too is, and I've seen this happen before too as well, since you started in a position where you were already dieting
Yeah.
and then you kind of just push the diet even further. I think that in and of itself, like just pushing that deficit, that starvation period, technically even longer, put you in a position to have that insatiable hunger where you kind of are coming out of prep and you're just like you're like literally like somebody that just survived like a freaking like survival situation or
Oh,
something,
yeah. Oh,
right?
yeah.
Like
Prep for me, I think especially like, I mean, you remember quite a bit of it. It was a pretty extreme prep
Mm.
to the like where I was doing a lot of cardio. I mean, my job at the time, I was a valet, so not only was I doing structured cardio, like I think we had me doing like an hour a day. Generally, it was stairs. Sometimes it was bike, but an hour a day plus, 3-4 times a week, I was at the club valeting, getting like 20 to 30,000 steps in easy.
yeah.
Um, plus that hour of cardio, so it was a lot. It was
So
a
just
lot of
walking a ton.
yeah,
doing
it
a
was a
bunch
lot of
of
fucking
cardio.
activity. Um,
No, but yeah, I think
but it felt normal and it felt doable. It was weird.
but you were also super young. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Like you're in a position where you can
yeah,
handle anything. Like
yeah. That was nice. That was one of the
yeah.
really great things about doing it at that age, and like I think going through the hard experience of it at that time,
Yeah.
like right after high school, because I mean, other than bodybuilding and and my job, I had nothing, I had no other responsibilities. I was
Yeah.
just like I was chilling. So like I had all that time and energy to give to bodybuilding, which in hindsight again was like a really enlightening experience because I mean, your first prep is always the hardest, and it showed me
How hard you can go.
how hard I can go and like what my struggles were gonna be and what my struggles were that prep, and what I worked to improve for the next prep. So
Mm-hmm. So what would you say like would be some things that you would do differently? Like coming out of a prep, or obviously it's not like you wanted to give yourself an ED.
yeah.
So what would be some things that you would do or have done differently that would have helped you and or helped anybody?
Oh, that's a great question. I think I would have started, like, if I could rewind the clock and start before prep, I probably wouldn't have started with already doing that much cardio.
Mm.
So I'd reduce my food intake and do less cardio and focus more on just my training. I think I could have definitely shown up a little bit bigger, a little bit fuller if I, and like really been a better bodybuilder if I wasn't doing as much activity in the beginning. So I think that's one. I think that would have also helped me um, with my hunger signal, with, of course, my recovery. Um, so I would probably, if I had the opportunity, that's where I would start. I would just start with doing less activity. Um, while going through it as well, one of the things that I like was at the core of food for me, nutrition for me, was like all these low calorie dense foods. That was another thing that was really big. Um,
Anabolic French toast.
Anabolic French toast, all those anabolic recipes that were on the internet at the time that were just full of sugar alcohols and fit like xanthan
Xanthan gum.
gum and like a bunch of
Yeah,
like
yeah.
thickening agents, and um, I would replace a lot of the like specific foods for just more whole foods. Definitely had an effect on my digestion. I remember being at home and like drinking a diet soda and having like the worst fucking stomach. This is when I first started drinking diet sodas and having like the worst stomach pain ever. And it was just because I'm pretty sure just because of like an overconsumption of sugar alcohols. Like before that, I had anabolic French toast. I felt so nauseous, so bad. It was a terrible experience. Um, and so just an overconsumption of that stuff was not great for my gut. Um, so definitely taking a more whole foods approach. Um, I think would also probably even help with my satiety more than it did during that prep. Um, Man, I think just a mindset shift. I think like just looking at myself in a different light, like being more confident and more just okay with where I'm at with my physique at the time because this shit happens in stages, right? Like when before I did my first bodybuilding prep, I had just started getting into bodybuilding. I had just really started focusing on like working on my physique as like the goal.
Mhm.
And um having that grace with myself and not being so critical and just being like, this is my first show. Um, it doesn't have to be perfect, but I think that's the athlete in me, and I think that has afforded me like what it has. Um, so I think there's a good and a bad side to that.
Mm.
Um, but other than that, I mean, I don't know. I think it was a great learning experience. So there's not much that I would change about it. Um, because I think it taught me a lot. I think it taught me to be a better bodybuilder. So,
Mhm.
um, I can definitely appreciate the fact that I went through it. Um,
Do you think it's normal? Do you think it's normal? Do you think a lot of amateur bodybuilders go through the same thing on their
yeah,
first show?
definitely, for sure, for sure. I'm coaching a guy right now, and he texts me, calls me every single day, freaking out about food. So, like it's normal. It is like it's you know, when you want to show up and be your best on show day, and that is like priority, that's like in the forefront of your brain every single day, you hyper analyze every single little thing that you do, every single little food that you eat. Um, some guys even every single step that they take. So um, I think it's very, very normal for an athlete. But I think and that's why I think your first prep is always going to be your hardest, is because you're still figuring that out. Like what truly has an impact on my look on stage, on show day versus like what is pretty negligible. Like
Mhm.
what are the little tiny details that I'm grasping onto that don't really matter,
Yeah.
you know? Like, an additional energy drink or two today is not going to change my stage look in 8 weeks. Like
Yeah.
like
Like people are freaking out about the small stuff. Yeah.
yeah.
No, that makes sense. And I think that that's important. I feel like I think EDs in general are very prevalent in a lot of sports like these, right? Where they're so impacted by your look
Yeah.
and they're impacted by how you perform on stage. It's not just bodybuilders, right? There's beauty pageants.
Yeah.
There's beauty pageants. There's modeling. Modeling, huge, ginormous field where I know there's a lot of women and men that both deal with that because they have to keep a certain appearance, right? And sometimes those appearances are just not realistic. Like very few people have the bone structure and or level of discipline to hold those appearances, right? And bodybuilding is just the extreme version because you are training, you are doing cardio, you're trying to get to insane levels of body fat that no person has, like no person, not a lot of people in this planet probably will never get to.
Yeah.
um and so yeah, and you have to maintain the most muscle mass, which also is another stressor on your body because that's active tissue requiring food from you every day. That's what makes you so hungry, and all that stuff, right? So um I think that it is normal, but I also, like I said, I also think that um, solutions for this, in general, are just kind of like what you were saying, just finding different ways and different methods where you can have somebody guide you through it, maybe guide you through the process, like a coach or somebody, but also knowing when, I think, to pull the trigger. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like if you are in a position where you're already in, like, just super dieted down, or maybe you've already been pushing this and you're like, hey, I want to do a prep now, but for a fact, like you got like, 16 weeks to go or something, but you still want to keep pushing and pushing and pushing, like you're probably setting yourself up for failure and or like a mental like just breakdown. You know what I mean? So like I think that's huge. But yeah, I think that's that is a big thing. So where would you say you're at now? Do you think you have a better relationship with food?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. I think that my eating habits are more like normal. Um, I think I think like for me it happens in stages. Like um, when I am like food for me, so like right now, I wouldn't say I am 100% there. Like I'm not eating like honestly like I should, like a bodybuilder, right? Like I make sure that I have like I just hit some baselines. I make sure that I eat enough protein. I make sure that I have um I try to have 3 meals a day. Sometimes it's two, but I try to have at least 3 meals a day on most days. Um, and like I have like a carb heavy pre-workout meal. That's it. So that's one of my meals generally, and then like I either have like a breakfast or I have a dinner. I generally have 3 meals. Sometimes I'm kind of bad and I only have two, but which again I think that's like more normal. I think like if especially if you're not in the bodybuilding space, like that is a pretty normal way to eat. Um, but I would say that like my eating habits now are definitely not as extreme as they are while I'm in a prep scenario. Um, I'm not. So I would even argue to say that sometimes during a prep scenario, I do better with food. Like I'm more focused because there's a goal in mind, right? There's a physique goal in mind. Like I'm trying to get to a certain sort of look, and so like I'll eat better.
She gets real.
But like, but I don't like what I don't experience now is like I don't binge. I have what I want when I want it, and I don't feel guilty or bad about it. Um, I think that's a really big step for me.
I think that's the important part
Yeah.
though, is that like you get to a point where you can have that comfortability
Yeah.
with not being guilty.
Yeah.
Because I think that's what kills people the most is that like if you've been in the fitness space long enough, I feel like at some point you're gonna figure it out for yourself, figure out what your food habits are gonna be. But there's some people that continuously go to those loops of oh, I ate bad today, and then it like they eat
Yeah.
even more, and then the next day they're
Yeah.
like trying to catch it up with cardio or more steps
Yeah.
or fasting or things like that. And I think that is if you're playing that game, you're never gonna
Yeah.
win.
Which I think like to an extent, some of that is okay.
Mm.
I think it's when you get to levels of extremes, like yeah, like you have one bad meal, let's say, the night before, and then you're just trying to completely make it up. Like, because I used to do that. I used to be very analytical about it, like hyper analytical about it. Like I would see, okay, how many calories did I go over what my maintenance is? And if it was like 400 calories, then okay, I have to make it up 400 calories tomorrow. So that either means I need to do additional cardio and or eat less food the following day. And like that was a really sort of, I think, unhealthy way to look at it because I was just playing a game of catch up the whole time rather than like, okay, if I want to have something, like let me have it. I'm going to recoup in a couple of days. It's not going to be a big deal. Like it's hardly going to be noticeable on your physique.
Yeah.
And if you're approaching it the right way, honestly, a lot of the times those sort of little refeeds, those sort of little meals can actually help your look. It not only will, give you a little bit of a boost, and especially if it's like something that's like a heavy carb meal, but it also is just like a motivator. It's like I had food that I wanted. Like it was good. It was fun. I enjoyed myself, and it gives me a little bit more motivation. It was a prize because I've been working so hard. So like, let me just fucking keep going.
Yeah.
And I think having that approach to food is much better than killing yourself for having something that you wanted and feeling guilty about it. That I think is for sure the biggest win that I've had is like I no longer feel bad about having the foods that I want when I'm in the off season. Now during a prep scenario, I'm a like my I have a very different mindset. Like I'm just locked in. I
Yeah.
have whatever I need to have to make sure that I have the best look possible. But like I'm okay with that. I know that going into a prep scenario. So
That's true. Yeah, no, I think having a good dial, knowing like when to dial things in, obviously, but also like when to kind of just be human.
Yeah.
Which I think is huge in like the athlete field, because I think a lot of athletes are just go, 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 even off season, like go, 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 like don't have any human moment. And
Yeah.
I think that's just how it is, right? When you're an athlete, like you
Yeah.
just kind of want to be in go mode all the time.
Yeah.
There's always a way that you can improve. There's always something like that, and sometimes it's hard to get away from those habits
Yeah.
you've built up, especially with nutrition. I think that's huge. Um, but yeah,
Yeah, I mean it's hard to be the perfect textbook bodybuilder. It's not easy. I've definitely had my struggle with it, and I've sort of, have understood that now at this point that like even though I am a bodybuilder and like I literally like we do this for like this is what we do for a living, there's never going to be a perfect scenario. There's always going to be something that happens that's going to inhibit you from maybe having a meal or from being able to have a meal or being able to do a cardio session, being able to do a training session. And that's just the way life goes. And you have to do your best to work around it. But you also have to understand that, again, at the end of the day, you're human, you're a person, things happen. It's not a big deal. Don't let things linger in your head for too long. 'Cause that can become very unhealthy very fast. So,
yeah, that's true. That's true. I believe that. Cool. I mean, that's freaking. I think that's a big, big, big.
Kurt's right there.
Kurt's right there.
He's distracting us.
Um, Damn, I forgot my train of thought. Thanks, Kurt. No, it's fine.
See you, bro.
Peace out, bro. What's it called? I guess. Let's see. Well, yeah. I mean, would you say there's anything else that you want to say about your
About ED, bro.
Yeah.
I guess like what's your experience been with like ED? Like what were your eating habits like? Have you ever dealt with anything like that?
100%, yeah. So similar to Omar, to a degree, I've hired a couple coaches back in my probably like 2018, 2019, when I decided to kind of start just working out again. I've always been in the gym since I was a kid, but like there was a moment in my life where I was just working a lot and I just kind of put the gym as like a sideline. I think I've always been like a bigger dude in general. I grew up a very, very chubby kid, so I've always had issues in general with my look and my appearance. Um, so I think that also played a role with how I looked at food from a very early age, right? However, I've always been a big eater, always, since I was a kid. Like, I would eat everything off my plate. My mom didn't even have to tell me to do that, honestly. I would just do it. I would clean plates and I would have seconds. So I think that was just normal for me, and I don't think nobody ever really corrected that either. Like, they would, if anything, I was always like congratulated, or like they're like, "Oh, you ate more."
Yeah.
Like, it was always like a positive reinforcement in my life to do that. So I was just known as the dude that just ate everything. Even when Thanksgiving came around, Christmas came around, like I would freaking have plates and plates and plates of food. I remember in high school, actually, this was huge. Uh, we used to go to hibachi, which was just basically like a all you can eat buffet. And sometimes I'd go there with my friends after we had done, like, we would play like a pickup football game or something, and we all just kind of like sweated, did a bunch of like running back and forth, and I was hungry, and I would try to beat them all on how many plates I could eat. Like, I would try to literally like try to eat like 4 or 5 plates, and I would try to beat everyone. And I would get so stuffed, but I would feel fine. I was like, you know what? Like, this is not bad. Like, I was used to it. It was weird. It's crazy. But I think for that reason alone, I've always had like just a bigger appetite as a dude. Like, I know I can put down a lot of food, 110%. Now, fast forward to about like 2018, 2019, I decided to start hiring coaches. I had started my Instagram during that time, and I was going to do a bodybuilding prep. So my Instagram was literally just formed through just showing my workouts, showing what I was doing for this bodybuilding prep. And I had hired this coach named Craig Golias. He has like a bajillion followers on Instagram now, but he's freaking huge. He's ginormous. And I had him on on Instagram, and he would always post up like pictures all the times of his clients and stuff. And he had these guys that were just freaking crazy, just shredded. And some of these guys were kind of like my physique. Like, they were kind of like chubbier, bigger kids, and they were just diced. Now I had no idea these guys were enhanced, by the way. Like I kind of had a hint, but like I was like, man, like this guy kind of looks like me. This guy looks, I kind of want to look like this guy, and that's all I had in my head. That's really it. So I hired him, paid him for a diet plan. This was the first time ever I was introduced to eating like a bodybuilder. Like legit, I had 6 meals a day. I was eating eggs, oatmeal in the morning with a banana. I had chicken and rice, turkey and rice, steak and rice. Last couple meals were like a shake, 2 scoops away, and then some fish. And it was legit like 5, 6 meals a day. It was awesome. Honestly, I enjoyed that part so much because I grew up watching those YouTube videos about like bodybuilders on their preps eating the same meals like 5 or 6 times a day. And I loved that. I initially like my parents were like, "Dude, you like eating this? Like this, you're just eating all this every single day." And I was at the time, I enjoyed it. I loved it. I was like, "Damn, this is awesome." I'm eating like the idols that I have in my head, and it was really cool. And I was also like committed to a bodybuilding show, so I felt like a bodybuilder. I was like, "Damn, I'm doing this. This is awesome." And I saw results from it. I started losing weight. During this time, I was already training seriously for like a couple years, so I had some muscle mass and I was dieting, so I was losing weight. I was getting leaner. Um, and I think what really triggered more of those habits, those bad habits with food, was refeeds. So during this time, the coach had basically told me once a week we're gonna have a cheat meal, and I was like, "All right, sure, like I'll do it." So um, it had gotten to a point after, I mean, the first couple of weeks I was like, whatever. Some weeks I didn't even take a cheat meal. I was like, I don't really feel like eating off plan, so I just didn't. After I got like a little bit leaner, I started dropping like maybe another 10 pounds or something like that. I started just looking forward to just eating that cheat meal like every week. And I would plan this out with my brother. Like my younger brother was like my little test subject that we would go and like just check out whatever restaurant we wanted to, and he would just come with me, and I would just eat whatever. So like I had gotten to the point where that's all I was looking forward to, was just having that cheat meal, and picking out whatever spot I wanted to go to, whatever meal I wanted to go to. And I think that led to me just kind of now wanting to just like do this, and then after try to make it up maybe a little bit, right? Like maybe walk a little bit more, maybe do more cardio or do something. But that was like the beginning of it, right? It wasn't like crazy, like I don't think it was crazily disordered, but I felt like something was changing in my brain, the way I looked at food. Now, um 2020 happened. I had gotten pretty lean, and basically I had ramped up the timeline I wanted to do my show in. So at first I was like about like, I don't know, 20-ish weeks out for this one show. Uh COVID and stuff happened, right? All this whole pandemic thing happened during this time. So I had to kind of pick a different show, and it was going to be a show that was going to be sooner. So I was like, you know what? Instead of being 20 weeks out, I was like literally like 10 weeks out. So I had reduced the timeline, and I was like, dude, honestly, I don't care what I have to eat or what I have to do to get in shape. Just tell me what I have to do. I'll do it. So immediately, I mean, he told me ahead of time. He's like, bro, I'm just letting you know you're gonna suffer. Like it's gonna suck. And I was like, I don't care, whatever. Just tell me what I need to do. So he gave me a new plan. So I had went from eating like, those 5, 6 meals a day that had some carbohydrates, had me feeling decent, right? I was still in deficit. But I had basically went to like straight keto. Like legit, probably eating about like 1,500 calories a day. I think on some days like even 1,400 calories a day.
Wow.
And literally just no carbohydrates. So my morning meals, instead of having the oatmeal, it would just be 2 eggs, bunch of egg whites. That's it, hot coffee. And then second, third, and fourth meal were literally just protein. So it was like chicken breast with some vegetables, turkey with some vegetables, and then a little bit of steak with some vegetables. And then I had a whey shake in between my training, and then my last meal was literally 2 tuna cans, or it
Man.
was like 8 ounces of tilapia.
Man.
And that was literally it. That was it. That's all I was eating. And I mean, yeah, I was losing weight fast. Like, not to mention, I was doing about an hour of cardio every day.
Yeah.
So it was either it was an elliptical, it was stairs, or it was a bike or something. I did this for about a month, like legit zero carbs, nothing. Followed this plan exactly to a T for about a month. Um, and I had my cardio ramped up to about like maybe, I don't know, an hour and a half, and then steps at the end of the night before I go to bed. Like I had to go and take a couple laps around my apartment complex. So I think during that time, I started really experiencing what true hunger was. I'd never really uh, dieted before, really. Like, this was my first time actually getting to a point where I started feeling so hungry, my stomach hurt. Like, I would just be laying down in my bed and, like, my stomach would just feel like it's eating itself.
Yeah.
And, like, my little brother would come up to me and he would just, like, put his fist in, like, my stomach because I was, like, sucking in. He's like, "Bro," he's like he's like, "What's wrong?" And I was like, "Dude," I'm on 0 carbs right now. And he's like, "Damn." And he would just, like, go and eat, like, his PB&J or something. Like, um, yeah, it was funny. It was a really weird time, crazy time, but I think during that time is that when I started developing that insatiable hunger, and since I'm a guy that just, like, like, I've always had, for me, it's easy to eat food. I love food, but during that time frame, I think it just set me up for almost failure because I was already developing too much food noise. And my Instagram, my Facebook, everything was just filled with reels. I would just watch YouTube videos of people eating food
Yep.
all the time, all the time. My work, like, productivity had gone to the gutter. Like, I was doing real estate at the time, and literally, like, we had a beanbag in our office, and there's just days where I'd just be laying on the beanbag and I would just be like falling asleep. Like, legit, like, sometimes I'd have to call sellers and stuff like that, and I would just be like in the middle of a conversation, I'd get off the phone and I would just like take like a quick 15-minute nap, wake up again, and like start taking more calls. Like, it had gotten to a point like where my energy was just, I literally could not function as a human, as like a productive human being. I was just so low energy, due to the amount of calories I was taking. Obviously, no carbohydrates. I had really bad brain fog. I couldn't remember much stuff, honestly. And yeah, all that stuff just got worse. And unfortunately, the show that I had wanted to do got canceled basically, after about a month of me being on this process. Now, I had a couple options to make. I could have probably looked for a show to do outside of the state, right? Maybe flown to like Florida or something like that, because I know some of those shows were still going on during the pandemic. But I had gotten to a point where my mental fortitude had just broke, and I just wanted food, and I didn't care anymore. And for me to make the effort to go out of state at that point, I just did not care. I didn't care enough to make that decision, and so I was like, "Yo, listen, I wanted to switch over to off season. Like, I wanna eat food. Like, I'm hungry. Like, I don't wanna deal with this anymore." And I remember talking to him, to my coach at the time, and he was basically like, he was like, "Are you sure?" Like, blah, blah, blah. He's like, "That sucks that you wanna," he's like, "You look good right now." And I was like, "Dude, I just don't care. Like, I literally don't care. I don't wanna do this anymore." Like, I wanna get out of this, and I wanna, like, just, rebound a little bit and, just eat food. And so that day, he's like, "Alright, cool. So this is what I want you to do." And he switched around my plan. He kinda gave me a small amount of carbohydrates here, small amount of it was literally just an extra 50 grams here, an extra 50 grams here. I stuck with it for probably about a week, and then after, um, I think my plan was done or something, or I had to renew or something like that, and I was like, "Alright, dude, I'm done. Like, I'm just gonna do this myself now." And during that time frame, I had kept the same cardio habits. Like, once I dropped him as a coach, I basically kept the same cardio habits that I had during prep. So, but I was just now eating carbs. So I was doing that hour of cardio every morning on a bike. And then I was training, and then I was doing more cardio at the end. But now I was just eating more carbohydrates. So during this time, my body kind of almost recomped to a bit, because I definitely had lost muscle during that like month where I was like literally not eating carbohydrates because my performance had gone all the way down with training. Like, I was weak as fuck, like, in the gym. but I was almost recomping at this point, and I started feeling better. I started looking better, but I also started just kind of eating slightly more disordered because I was almost to a degree just kind of the same thing that Omar was doing. I was doing more cardio to eat more food because I knew I could do that now. I knew that I could keep this amount of cardio and I could just eat what's it called? Eat more food. So I just kept doing the same habits over and over and over. And it didn't get really that bad until um I got to a point where I got lean enough and that insatiable hunger that I had felt on the ketogenic diet that I was on for a month started coming back. And I just remember one day like reaching into the cupboard when I had gotten home at night from work, and I got like a tub of peanut butter, and it started off just like me just making myself a sandwich with peanut butter, but I was like, I want more. So I got more, and I like got another tablespoon. And then at some point I was just like mindlessly eating. And I remember doing this because I think I was talking to my mom. We were just having a conversation, and I was just like taking tablespoons of this stuff and just eating and eating and eating. And it just becomes something that like, I don't even know. I don't even think my mom, I think she was kind of like blocking it that I was just eating a tub of freaking peanut butter in front of her face. But like we were just having a conversation, and I was just mindlessly eating over and over. And now that had become a habit that I could just do because nobody told me anything. My mom didn't even freak out. She was just like, it was just normal, I guess. So for me, since I had no negative reinforcement there, and I thought this was fine, and I thought I could absolve it by doing more cardio.
Bad dog.
Yeah, exactly. I just kept doing it. I kept doing it. And the next day I did it again. But then I had like these tortilla wraps, and I would just put them in peanut butter and I would just eat them. It gotten so bad. Like I was eating probably, I don't even know, like half a tub of peanut butters. I know for a fact I've eaten like a tub of peanut butter in a day, for sure, 110%.
That's crazy.
And that was fine. Like it's crazy because the next day, like, I mean, yeah, I would do a lot of cardio. I would do hard cardio. Like I'd probably be on the Stairmaster for like an hour, like on level like 10 or 11. So like I was doing good. Like I was dying for that peanut butter basically. But during this time, I think that's when I had developed those habits of just doing more to eat this and keep this disordered habit okay
Yeah.
in my head, right? And I knew it wasn't okay because I felt bad. I would feel bad afterwards,
Yeah.
and I felt so full.
You know what though? I feel like those level of extremes though, like I think to sort of bring it full circle, I think those level of extremes at the same time are the reason why like bodybuilders are able to do what we do. Like why we can do what we do.
Mm,
Because we can push ourselves to those levels of extremes of like doing that much cardio and like,
yeah.
you know, suffering with food. Because with like if you think about it, like without like suffering for that peanut butter, like down the line, it would be harder for you to just suffer for anything at all. You know, it's
Yeah.
like right now you're doing it for fucking peanut butter. Later you're gonna do it for a show, which
Yeah.
like, you know, if with the right mindset, with the right mentality going into it, like, yeah, it's gonna be easier to an extent. You know, it's like I'm actually doing this for a purpose, not just to have peanut butter.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like it sort of comes full circle, and it's like, well, like I built this discipline upon wanting to have more food, but now I have the discipline. It's like now it's there. Now I've
Yeah.
done it. Now I've actually like now I can just apply it in a healthy way. Um, so I think there's that perspective to look at all of this through as well as like, um, and so I feel like I can appreciate those moments and all that like all that food noise, all that bullshit. It's because at the end of it, like, makes you a better bodybuilder.
Yeah. No, I believe that. I think that I mean, yeah, it was an experience and I learned from it, right? I could call this coach like every name in the book for whatever. But like at the end of the day, it was my choice. I had the choice to choose a shorter timeline. Like I did it to myself. I take responsibility for that, but I also know that 100%, like, yeah, it makes me ultimately, like, coming out of something like that and learning how to get better from that. First, you have to acknowledge it as a problem. I had to acknowledge it with myself as a problem. I didn't want to, because I wanted to keep eating it. I wanted to keep this habit, and I wanted to, like, because
Yeah.
it was yummy. It was good food, and a lot of it though was I think the hunger, the food noise was just coming from the unrealistic expectation of myself of keeping this lifestyle that I had at the time, which was a ton of freaking cardio, training, and trying to paint this picture of staying at this size, staying this lean for what I was, right? And for me, it was just unrealistic. I couldn't do it, but I kept doing it because I wasn't broken yet. I could keep doing it. I could just keep going. But I knew that it wasn't realistic for me, and it was causing that relationship with food to be just horrible, horrible. And it took me a while to realize it. Honestly, it took me months. It took me months, honestly, for me to get to a point where I had to find ways to stop. And during this time, I had looked on different YouTube channels. I had researched different ways on what people do for different kinds of disordered eating, things like that. For me, it was binging. It was binging. It never got to actually like me like throwing out the food or anything like that. But I'm not gonna lie, I got pretty freaking close. I got pretty freaking close. I remember like 2 times, or where this is messed up, but like I remember, like I knew it was getting bad when I remember a handful of times when I would take a bite of something, and it could have been like, I don't know, like that tortilla lathered with a bunch of peanut butter, and I would just chew it for a bit, and then I would just
Spit it.
like spit it out.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
And I remember doing that. And during this time, this was around the end of it, by the
Yeah.
way. I knew I knew this was really bad. When I started doing that, I got so shameful. Like I was like, "Are you really doing this, dude?
Dude.
Like, are you really doing this? What's next after this?" And so that's the thought in my head that kind of just kept playing over and over and over, that
Yeah.
made me realize I had to stop.
For me, one of the worst, probably some of the worst moments were making myself throw up, dude. I did that I definitely did that a few times, where I had food that like I knew was way too much, and I almost felt like I was gonna throw up just because of how much food there was in my stomach.
Yeah.
But I just did it intentionally to like empty out that sort of space in my stomach and make myself feel better about over consuming. So like I can relate, dude. I can definitely relate. Like
Yeah.
I, those are some pretty like shameful moments that I have too, that I'm like, damn, I really made myself throw up, bro, like a bitch. like I'm really in front of the toilet. It's so. But I mean, like it's all part of the experience. It's all part of the growth process.
Yeah. I think
So
that's yeah, that's a huge realization I had. I think that was probably like my rock bottom, where I was like, okay, I need to fix this. This is not something that's sustainable for me, and I have to get out of this. I have to find a way to change the way that I think about this. And that was the start, honestly. And thankfully during that time I found really good resources, really good YouTube channels of different therapists, different people that have gone through it as well, that kind of shared what they did, experiences and things like that. And also during this time, I had hired another coach, and this guy's name is Chris Edmonds. I had hired him for a little bit and kind of had him make me like a nutrition plan, all that stuff. And it was kind of similar to like a bodybuilding s type of a nutritional plan, but I think I just need a structure in my life. So I just decided, hey, just give me a plan, dude. Just give me something. Give me something I need to just eat, so I can stop thinking about so I can stop putting this on me. Because if I put it on me, I'm just gonna do the same thing. I'm just gonna
yeah,
try to eat it good in the beginning, and then at night just completely binge. And I needed that structure, and that structure initially helped me out a lot because I had whole spreadsheet. I knew exactly what my meals needed to be, and I had some kind of accountability there, so that helped a lot. But I think the biggest things that helped me out too as well, and if you guys are dealing with this too, I mean, this is kind of more my experience. It might not apply to you, but for me, the moments where I had those episodes were at night.
Oh yeah.
So it was after I was done with work, and I had come home at night, and immediately what I would do is I would go straight to the kitchen, like straight to the kitchen. Didn't even bother going in my room or using the bathroom or whatever. Like I would just go straight to the kitchen. And I knew that my attachment was with that pattern. It was me doing that same exact thing over. And you can condition yourself to do this, by the way. Like a lot of us are conditioned to do this. Like think about the first things that you do when you step in your place, in your house or wherever. You're doing that because you're conditioned to do that every time. Maybe for you, it's like going to the bathroom as soon as you step in the house. Right now, it's just a signal your brain knows that like it triggers, and now you're going to the bathroom. Or maybe for you, it's like, hey, I got to go straight to bed. Or maybe, hey, I got to go do this at this couch and like look at my phone. It's a condition that you give yourself when you step into any environment, right? And it's the same thing with disordered eating. I had it attached to me going to the kitchen immediately and going into my top cupboard.
Cupboard, yeah.
And that for me was such an ingrained habit that I would just do it without thinking. And so for me, it started before I even entered the room. Like before I even entered the apartment complex, I would give myself a couple minutes before I would even enter the door and almost talk to myself and reframe the way that I'm about to step into this room. So instead of me tapping into disordered eating Gonz and just going into the kitchen and just reaching for that peanut butter and whatever else that I had there that I was about to just completely stuff myself silly with, I had made the decision to just go straight to my room. Literally, just simple as that. Simple as that, right? Sounds insane, right? That you have to do this before you step into like an establishment. But when you have a habit that is a very vicious habit, vicious cycle, and you need to break that, you have to go to those extremes, right? To normal people, it's like, dude, that's insane. But to somebody that has that disordered way of thinking, you have to do those things to think ahead. And that's what helped me out a lot is just changing that direction, but also starting before I even step foot into the room. I would just have those couple minutes to myself and put my intentions down, look at the things that I wrote down on my phone of the beginning of the day, of the things that I was not going to do, that I was going to hold myself accountable to, and make the decision there to stop it, which for me was just going straight to my room. And there'd be some days, guys, where I just wouldn't eat at night. Like I would just go straight to my room and I would just go to bed. Like that's it. Or maybe like go on my phone a little bit, like, like maybe scroll a little bit, maybe do some social media stuff on social media and then just go to bed. But that would keep me distracted enough so that I did not have to go and do that cycle again over and over and over. That helps me out a ton. And I think if it wasn't for that, I probably would have still been doing the same thing. But I think it's very psychological, and that's how I was able to break my habit. I did that long enough where to a point where I just kind of stopped. Like it just started becoming something that I just no longer did. Now, did that mean that I didn't relapse or have times where I did? No, 100% I did. 100. I'm not. It wasn't just like a like one and done type of thing. Like it was like a couple months where I had to, like I was good for a couple weeks.
It's like breaking any other habit.
Exactly. And then there was one day where I would just go again and I'd be like, damn it. But you know what? I was proud that I had gone a couple weeks. So then I started again. Then it was a month. Then I did it again. So it took time is what I'm saying, but it's not perfect, but it helped me push away from that habit.
You know what's funny? Like, I think for both of us, one of the things that sort of really, I can speak for myself, and I almost want to say that it's very similar for you as well, is the fact that like we very soon after sort of the time that we were dealing with those EDs, like bought a gym and enveloped ourselves fully in the world of like bodybuilding. Because I mean, we decided to open up a bodybuilding gym. It sort of forced us in line. Like, okay, now we are owners of a bodybuilding gym. We have to figure a lot of this shit out. Like this, like we are like we're gonna coach competitors. We're gonna coach, like this is what we're gonna do. Like we decided that, like we literally like. Yeah, I mean, this was going to be our livelihood, so we're like, okay, fuck, well, I'm gonna coach people through, you know, through the same thing that I went through, I need to fully understand it myself. I need to fully like envelop myself in it, and like, yeah, because I remember when we first bought the gym, I mean, that's when I started eating better. I started bringing my meals. I started becoming a better bodybuilder. Um, and it was not only because obviously like I love bodybuilding, I want to be a better bodybuilder, but I'm also like now this is what we do. This is like
Mhm.
this is our thing, right? Like we should be that example. We should be able um to like guide somebody in the way that um we preach. So
100%. Yeah, I think that plays a huge role in it too. I think that serves as accountability. I feel accountable every day just having clients that I know
oh yeah.
are weight loss clients, like
Yeah.
that need to lose weight. Like if I was fat, like if I was in like not a good condition, like I just feel like I'm like a fraud almost,
Yeah.
And so
Don't hire a fat coach.
yeah, and so I think that's why I preach that a lot, and yeah, I think that did help for sure is having that accountability, that structure there, and as a business where you are representing a pinnacle of health, right? Going to the gym is a health pillar that most people have a hard time doing, and if you're just an owner that I feel like is just not that representation, right? Even
Yeah.
if you're not a trainer, you're just a gym owner, like you own an establishment where people are coming to better their health ultimately, right?
Yeah.
You should look the part, even if you're not a
Yeah.
trainer.
Yeah.
If you are a gym owner,
Yeah.
you should look the part,
Yeah.
right? So
It gives me flashbacks
yeah,
to when I was working at that other gym in Gilbert's. Oh man, that
oh.
owner, yeah, man. If he's watching this, bro, let me know. I'll help you with your weight loss, bro. I know it's been a while. I know you were salty at me, but I'll help you lose weight. I know you're having trouble with that when I left.
That's very popular in. I see that a lot in like. So I used to work out at Export. I used to work out at even Lifetime. There is a lot of trainer. I think Lifetime does a little bit better, but Export, LA Fitness, holy
R.I.P.
crap.
Export.
Yeah, like they like managers there, even like some of the trainers there, like they're like completely out of shape. Like they're just not
Mm.
people that I feel like are in a position to even train people or to be looked at that. And
Yeah.
this is just the ones that I've been to. I'm sure there's other commercial gyms that
Yeah.
probably have the same thing, but in general, I think that is huge. I think if you're gonna be that dude where you're teaching people to be in
Yeah.
better shape and lose weight, like you have to be that
You have
person.
to practice what you preach.
100%.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's hard to look at somebody as an authority figure when like, okay, sure, you have the textbook information to tell me like, okay, this is how I lose weight, but you've never done it before, so you don't know that. You don't know the mental struggle. You don't know um the actual battle of what it is to lose weight, you know? And I think there's different levels of extremes for sure. Because I mean, you have the clients that come in and they're 300 plus pound clients, but you also just have the lifestyle clients that want to lose a little bit of weight, and both are different animals. But no, definitely. I mean, hiring somebody that has never done it before is like
it's
silly.
hard.
It's silly.
It's
It's to put
hard.
it bluntly, like it's kind of dumb. Like don't hire if you're a weight loss person, don't hire a fat coach. You're literally paying them for them to virtue signal at you that it's okay to be big.
Yeah,
Um, and that's not what you want. You want to better your health.
that's
If
so
you're
true.
if you're a bigger person actually looking to get into shape, actually looking like, don't find somebody that's just going to tell you that it's okay for being the size that you are. Look for somebody that's going to help you with whatever your problem is. Because a lot of the times, especially if you're a much bigger individual, it gets into some psychology. There's something deeper going on there that maybe you don't even fully understand.
Disordered eating, it's horrible.
Yeah.
These are just a couple of experiences that we've had, right? We, in general, have
Yeah.
also dealt with people that have had it. I
Yeah.
think as working as a trainer and online coach, I think it's prevalent with any client that you're gonna take on. Majority of people, honestly, are gonna be weight loss clients. I
Yeah.
mean, that's just what it is. I feel
And
like that's
food
just
addiction is so rampant,
yes,
especially
100%.
like here in the Western Hemisphere, here in the United States. Like food addiction is, we don't look at it as food addiction. And
It's just normal.
I would like to be part of the camp that sort of pushes this ideology that it is a problem. Like food addiction is like, it's real, it's rampant, and a lot of people are, that's why we have an obesity epidemic. People are addicted to highly palatable, processed bullshit, and it's so easy to eat, it's so easy to consume, it's readily available, it's cheaper than real food in some cases. And yeah, I mean, just having a better understanding of what you're putting into your body, I think, and like how it can make you feel, um, I think is an important idea to continue for us to push as coaches and yeah,
Yeah, no,
yeah,
for sure.
definitely.
And I think a huge thing that I kind of want to end this off with is if you know you're somebody, if any of the stories that we've talked about today you relate to, and you've been pushing it off because you think it's okay, or you think it's not a problem, or you think it hasn't gotten there yet, you haven't hit rock bottom with it. I think that you're in a position right now to truly get some help. Get some
Yeah,
help and
yeah,
also understand that it is a
yeah,
problem. I feel like a lot of these things go undiagnosed. A lot of people don't want to be straight up with themselves and admit that it is something that is a problem, right? Because come on, everybody thinks like, "Oh, food. Like how can food be a problem, right?"
yeah,
Like, but at the end of the day, it is a problem.
yeah.
It is a problem, and the statistics and the health demographic of this country reflect that. Not just this country, but South American countries as well. Even some European countries, right? It's not just something that's trapped in the Western Hemisphere. There's a lot of places that are dealing with this stuff because of the centralization again of food, of how addicting these things are, and how easy and accessible they are nowadays,
Yeah,
right?
and that rabbit hole
So
gets very, very, that's a very fun rabbit hole to go down. If you look at like the different conglomerate companies that own all the food brands, and that in most grocery stores, including, like you said, like it's not only here in the
mhm,
States, it's in a lot of places, like all the products that are in a grocery store, your Walmart, your Target, your Jewel, are owned by a handful of companies.
yep.
So like our food industry is monopolized, and yeah, I think there's a way deeper lens to sort of look at it, um, and jump down that rabbit hole. I think it's very eye opening, and will lead you down paths of food education, and not only like what's good for you, but also just like again what you're putting into your body. And um, I think that's really important to understand too, if you want to, again, if health is an important thing for you.
Mhm.
um,
100%.
but yeah, I mean, the other thing too, I'd love to hear any stories that you guys have that dealing with food or eds, um, any stories that you guys want to share and want to talk about and maybe want to get some advice on, like definitely leave us your stories in the comments, and sort of let us know. Be vulnerable if you can, and share some of your experiences.
Yeah, 100%. We're not licensed to help, to give you guys any crazy advice, but I mean, if there's something that we can
Yeah,
relate to you and
it
or
might
help you out with,
inspire other
yeah.
people. It might, help spark some good conversation, and I think that discourse can be really important. So
Yeah, 100%, guys. So thank you guys for tuning in. Please subscribe, like, comment, tell us any of your stories, and we will see you guys in the next episode.
see you in the next one.